earlier in his career. So we'll talk about the transformation he did when he transitioned into nervous system training and added that to his routine. But yeah, let's dive right in.
Let's do it. So, what question did they have on plantar fasciitis exactly?
It's questions I've gotten on the calls, and it's been a few of them, but it's people are often hesitate to start a new training program when they're in the pain. So that's it's what I want to do is talk about the advantage of actually training for it rather than just resting. Um, and then yeah, just talk about how to manage it from a nervous system training perspective.
Okay, well, plantar fasciitis that this is a pretty common injury that people get. It's a type of tendonitis or tendinopathy, and a lot of this is the result of too much stress on the foot tendon, and it can't heal properly, and the fibrous matrix of the tendon starts to get damaged. It starts to accumulate inflammation. The matrix kind of starts to fall apart, and it can be super annoying and super painful for a long time. I had this for a little bit, and it took me like a few months of trying to fix it. But the one thing that really kills people when it comes to plantar fasciitis is they don't do a protocol all the way through to fully heal it. They usually stop once it starts feeling better. And when it comes to tendinopathies, just because you're not feeling it doesn't mean it's gone. It could still be lingering, or maybe it's sustainable enough where the nerve endings aren't firing off a pain signal anymore, but it could still be there sitting with the tissue. And the longer the tendinopathy sits there, the more it'll degrade the tendon over time, and it'll turn into tendinosis. And that's usually when the tissue is not communicating with the central nervous system, and it starts to degrade. And it starts to, the material starts to turn gray. And the best way to fix this is with tendon issues is blood flow. Like, you got to get blood into the foot, and depending on the grade of tendonitis you have, like there's grade 1 through 4. Grade 1 is you experience like some agitation of the tendon, maybe hours or the next day after physical activity. That's not so bad. That's something that you can fix. Just you can even still do your sport and heal it at the same time. Now, grade 2 is, I believe, you feel agitation right after activity or during. It's not enough to kind of like make you have to sit out, but it can bother you, and afterwards it can feel annoying. Telltale sign of plantar fasciitis showing up is if the bottom of your feet hurt first thing in the morning. Where you get out of bed and you step your feet on the ground, it feels like you're stepping on Legos. That's a sign that the tendonitis is really, really starting to get bad. And it can be that you're on your way to like grade 3. When you're in grade 3, that's pain before activity, pain during activity, and pain after activity. When you're at grade 3, you really should shut down training and just focus on getting this healed. Doing things that are not going to stress out the tendon any further. Focusing on a physical therapy protocol like towel crunches is really good, getting blood flow into that tendon. Also, the frozen water bottle technique, it's an old school method to help calm the nerve endings down, promote more blood circulation to help the tissue heal, and doing things to kind of like stretch and massage the foot tendon. When I started doing also dorsiflexion when you sleep. So I'll kind of break down the step-by-step process that usually fixes it. Now, there's more that goes into this. There's more about like fascial training and different toe curling methods to help improve the fascial layer around the plantar fascia. I don't know. I don't have all that protocol fully memorized or fully understand. So right now I just know the quote unquote older school method. But what I've used for a lot of guys is frozen water bottle first thing in the morning. You roll your foot on it, for like 10 to 15 minutes. It really helps calm the nerve ending down. It kind of creates more length out of like the tissue, and it promotes more blood flow. And then you want to follow that up with some towel crunches. So sitting on the ground, rolling the towel up until the bottom of your foot is burning. And when you sleep at night, it really, really helps to get a dorsiflexion strap. something that you can put over your foot, and it holds your foot in dorsiflexion. Because when you sleep, your foot falls into extension, and that puts a lot of stress. That really shortens that foot tendon while you're sleeping. That creates a ton of agitation, and that's why your foot hurts first thing in the morning. So if you can keep your foot in the dorsiflex position, if that one guy he used like an air cast because he couldn't find like the strap he was looking for. Just anything to put you in a dorsiflex position that'll hold your foot like this while you sleep. And you can get these straps, like you can find them at Kroger, like in like the old people section, where there's like knee braces and stuff like that and walking sticks.
Yeah.
Like you can find them there. They're pretty available. But sleeping with that each night, wake up, roll it out the water bottle, doing the towel crunches. And also it helps to do the PVC pipes, doing the log walks in particular, something to kind of really help lengthen, stretch, and promote more blood flow into that tissue. And the key to this is consistency. You've got to run this protocol every day. Maybe take one day off, like a Sunday, but you got to work it and work it and work it until this thing heals. And then after it heals, work it again for another 2 weeks. Like, get rid of this, because this will get annoying. If it degrades even further, you can risk, like if you're at a grade 3, grade 4, you keep working it, you don't really take care of it properly, you can snap that bitch. Like that tissue will rip off. Like that happened to Dominic Cruz. And a lot of people, high arch athletes, are very susceptible to plantar fasciitis because their plantar fascia is naturally tighter from the shape of their foot bones. Mm-hmm. And Dominic Cruz, I can't remember who he's fighting, but he was struggling with plantar fasciitis. He's a very tough motherfucker. He did not want to take days off. He just not back down to shit. He didn't want to back out of his fight, so he just did camp after camp, trying to manage it, not fully manage it. And eventually in one of his fights, it just ripped off the bone, and he fought 2 more rounds on that. And he ended up losing that fight. And
that's rough.
You do that, you tear your plantar fascia, like that is a long recovery process. It's probably going to require surgery, and the tissue will never be the same. Like it'll always be 80% of what it once was, because it's just a ton of damage. I actually tore. I had a slight tear in my plantar fascia back in high school. I remember I didn't know what it was until later on in life. I figured out like, oh shit, like I used to wear ankle braces all the time. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it was because I had weaker ankles and I had weak foot tendons. I had a weak plantar fascia. Didn't know it, but it always felt good. And you'll see this a lot with guys who wear like those sleeves on their ankles from like Muay Thai. You ever see those?
Yep.
A lot of guys will wear that if they're lacking tensile strength in their plantar fascia, because it creates an artificial tightness, and it kind of helps assist their tendon, kind of like like K-tape or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so the ankle brace, I really liked the feeling of that tightness around my foot. I felt like a little faster and more stable. And I remember I was doing the same sort of backpedaling technique that you see all these basketball players blowing out their Achilles tendon, where I was backpedaling, I stop, shoot a foot back to like run forward, because I was the safety at the time. We were just running drills. And then when I stepped back, I felt like a popping sensation, like a slight popping / crunch. And I was like, oh, it immediately hurt. And it was the last practice of my senior year. Ooh. It was the last practice for our playoff game. And it was the last drill we were running right before, like, we finished practice. We watch film, we have like our dinner, we have, before, and then we have our game the next day. And I remember it happened. I was like, shit. I was like, oh, and it hurts. And I was like, what is going on? And I was like, okay, maybe it'll just go away. And I did not want to sit out for like our last game.